Hello, and welcome to the last video of week 2. In this video, we're going to export our mesh and bring it into Substance Painter, give some nice textures, and then bring it into Unreal Engine into our scene as our first textured prop. So we have our model here, and it's UV'd. UVs look fine, and now what we need to do now is export it. But there's a few options of what we want to do. Now, for games and stuff, like there is a lot of talk about like optimization for models and things like that, and absolutely we can sit here and optimize this model. But we are using Unreal 5s and we do want to leverage Nanite, and that does allow us to be over generous with our mesh density. So normally, instead of we would have this mesh and this would be fine, we could lower this. I actually want to take it and just put a mesh and then smooth. That way we have, the mesh is at 29,000 triangles, which is overkill for a mesh like this, but we want to be able to get in really close and see these nice shapes here without having to break the silhouette by going too low poly. So I'm perfectly fine with creating a mesh this size, that's this tri count. I think when you're leveraging Nanite, it's not really an issue. If it was a different platform like Unity, then we would absolutely sit and optimize this, and maybe we will in a later video just to create like LODs, level of detail objects, which are used to sort of reduce the poly count as the further you go away from it. That's a very sort of like old school trick of for optimizing meshes. Right, so I'm going to go to Windows, Outliner. Generally, how I like to rename my meshes, and this goes for like my professional work as well. I'm just going to call it SM for static mesh underscore underscore health spray. So that's it named. Well, and the things the three things you always want to do before you export a model is you want to clear the history, clear the transforms, and make sure it's centered, which it is. So we're just going to File, Export Selection. I have a folder for this somewhere. We'll just call this new folder, and we'll call it Spray Health Spray. And let's call this SM underscore health spray. And that should be it exported. So we will swap over to Substance Painter. Okay. So we're just going to click on File, New, click Select, locate our work here. Work, health spray. Document resolution, we're going to keep this at 4K, keep this the same. This should all just be default. You don't have to worry about anything in here. Just click import. Good. So we have our model inside Substance Painter. The first thing you want to do every time you come into Substance Painter is you want to change a few settings just to give yourself the most the best looking viewport, because sometimes there can be a discrepancy between Substance Painter and Unreal Engine. So there's a few options here on the side. We're just going to click this top one here and change our environment map to, scroll down to Studio Tomoko. Click that. So that should be on that one now, Studio Tomoko. We're going to click on the second one down here. This is the shader settings. We're going to specular quality. We're going to bring this up to I put mine on very high. Ultra can sort of make your computer lag a bit, so I just keep mine at very high. And we also want to increase the AO intensity. Um, this model probably won't have a lot of AO because it's quite small and there's not a lot of detail to it, but we'll put it up to the full anyway. Right, so we have our settings correctly set up. So we're just going to bake mesh maps. Now we do actually have a high poly. Um, Generally for like hard surface things like this, you know, there might not be a high poly to actually bake down into. There might be, but sometimes there's not. So we're just going to click on use low poly mesh as high poly mesh, so that it'll sort of bake it against itself. Because you still need to get the maps, the curvature, and ambient occlusion and stuff like that, so that your textures can be applied correctly. Change this to 16. Take away the ID map because we're not using ID maps. ID maps can be used in Maya. You can create them in Maya to figure out where you want certain materials. You can apply them. You can apply them really easily instead of having to select them and stuff like that. But we don't need to use that. So we're just gonna pick these textures, and it should be fairly quick because it's not a complex model at all. We're going to bake it 4K as well. Take a few seconds. While we're here, I'm just going to find some reference. Resident Evil 2 first aid spray. We can't click that. Images. Filters by large. We can probably find a high res photo. Probably should have done this before the video started, honestly, but you're seeing the live action version of me texturing things. So there's a few people who've already made this, so maybe we can just use theirs as a reference. But generally speaking, it's not too detailed. Maybe use this one. All right. So shouldn't be too hard. Just sort of metallic with the spray thing there. All right. So to get started, we're probably just gonna find this nice metal texture, maybe a steel. This one. Normally, what I do is I just throw on different textures, just to see what will work. Honestly, let me just do this. Bring onto the save window. Bring this over here, just so we can see what we're working with. Make this a bit smaller. Medium. Right. So I kind of So what I was saying, I like to just sort of play about with different materials just to see what actually might look pretty good. This one's actually not too bad. I use it a lot. Clear coat. We can change the color of this to more. We can use our dropper tool here and bring it over. It's not too bad actually. Maybe we can use that for our the sort of smaller bit here, or the wider bit with the text on it. We'll keep that there for the time being. We're going to add a black mask, and then, oops, sorry. We're going to add a black mask to this material. Click on the polygon fill, and these sort of options let you choose different ways to add the material to the mask. We will probably want to do this one. This is like, let's just select individual polygons and stuff, which is pretty much what we're wanting. Click and drag, get all these. And it might end up being that oh, there's an issue here. That's interesting. This is perfect because these sort of things come up all the time. So if we actually go back to our mesh here and find this issue, so we can see right here where this is coming from. And we go back to our UV editor. So there's obviously an issue here with the when we turbo smoothed it. What we're going to do to fix this is this sort of UV line here, just bring it back up here in line. And this one's the same. Do that. This is fortunate because these types of things come up all the time and you have to know how to fix them. So what this was, just whenever we mesh moved it, sometimes we don't have enough supporting loops. The UV can sort of go a bit funky, but it's easily fixable. Just find this edge and then bring it back up straight. And UVs look pretty good. We'll just clear history again and then export this guy again. I'll spray, export. And then we're just going to go to re-import mesh here, edit, re-import mesh. And it should be fixed when it reloads. Yes, it's a lot better. Okay, that's good. Perfect. So we'll just continue. We'll continue with our texture in here. Maybe make this a bit lighter. This is not that dark. Yeah, too bad. We'll come back and fix the rest after. So we're going to want like a steel. Imagine this is maybe like a steel type texture. Let's go for a stainless steel. Actually, if you don't have these certain materials, I can give you them. Just let me know. There's also the Substance 3D website. If you have a subscription with them, you can log in and download like all sorts of materials. It's really useful. So stainless steel, that's looking pretty cool actually. We're just going to add black mask, and then we'll go to our polygon fill again, and then we just want this area here using this mode UV chunk. Will fill entire UV chunks. So what a UV chunk is we go back to Maya and look at our UVs. This would be considered a UV chunk. This is a UV chunk. This is a UV chunk. So it's just like whole sections that you've UV'd off here. So if we go back to Painter, and this is the click and drag where you can select each individual. That can be quite monotonous. But if you know you have the right UV shell, you can click on the UV chunk option and then just click, and it should, in theory, fill all the area. See, because I tried to do this whole area is a part of that UV chunk, so it won't work. So I need to go back and click you can hit X to switch between. So when you have it on white, it adds, and when you have it on black, it takes it away. So I will need to make this window bigger. Hit F1 to bring up your UVs on the Substance Painter, and then I can switch to the polygon fill, and then just do this manually. So what I like to do is just select this whole bottom bit. And then get rid of these few bits here. Because they're very closely linked, so and then we can just deselect this bit because it's easier than just trying to get it right, like super accurate. We can just fill this whole area and then just delete the bits we don't want. Again, same with this bit, we're gonna just click and drag this whole area here. And then deselect this section. Very nice. So I'll just bring this back. All right, that looks pretty cool. What else? What other areas are? Okay, so this we top neck bit here. Again, bring it back to the mask selection mode. Sorry, polygon fill mode. UV chunk, and then click on this, and this, and this. That's really good. So we just have this sort of top nozzle bit area. I think maybe we'll make this steel as well. And then we can create this, switch back to our steel painted clear coat. Just do this. Okay. So we have, okay, sorry, I missed a bit here. Let's make this steel stained. What I could have done here for the mesh is actually I could have made this rounded at the bottom, sort of concave in, but it's not. It won't be. It's not going to be the end of the world. Okay, so we have. I'm unsure about your skill level within Substance Painter. So please just ask me if you need any, if you have any questions about how to maneuver, or just use the tool in general. You can hit shift and right click to sort of rotate around it. Rotate the light around it so you can see how the light is reflecting. Right. So we have our base materials down, and what we want to do now is we want to get this text. There's a few ways that we can do this. I think the best way would be to use Photoshop. That way we can create an accurate recreation of this. So we're just going to open Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, there are some alternatives. I think Photopea, it's kind of like an online option and like an online version of Photoshop. It's very similar. Right, so we're just going to create a custom 4K by 4K image. It's a bit overkill, but for what we need right now, it's perfectly fine. Right, so this is going to be maybe a bit rough. I'm not a graphic designer. So we're going to get rid of this layer, delete that. We're going to create a stencil. And a stencil works like a mask in that the white area shows you what you want and the black area is what you want to hide. So we're going to create this first layer in black, foreground color, and then we're going to create our shape here. So let me just, it's probably something like this. I like to have everything in the center, just as for aesthetic reason, nice and lined up. So we're going to create a new layer here and create a stroke. So we'll just play around with this, see what it looks like. That's not bad. Maybe one a bit thicker than that. Give us 10. Okay, that's perfect. Maybe it could be a bit better. It's all about just playing with it. Let's see what looks good to you. That looks better. Okay. So we're gonna have this cross shape here. Maybe I can just do this. Fill. It should be kind of doing this on new layers, so you have a bit more. You have more ability to play about with the shapes without having to make it all pretty finalized and just merge it later. So this is kind of in the center. Okay, that's quite good. Maybe scale it down a bit. Right, now we're going to use some text here. Let's see. First, maybe actually we'll just do first. And then bring this over because there is that sort of red cross in the middle here. Good. Okay. Let's maybe try and find a text, a font that's kind of similar. I have this font. I don't no idea where I even got it, honestly. But you don't have to go as detailed as this. But it's nice to try and recreate it as best as you can. So now we have a circle shape in here. You can click and drag this, and then hold an Alt and Shift to sort of makes it easier to make sort of circle shapes. You don't have to guess if you're getting the right shape or not. So create a new layer, and then we're going to fill this with white. And maybe just move this back a bit. Have auto select on so you can just select the layers as easy as you want. Okay. This has a sort of inverted sort of cross in here, so I'm just going to grab this cross up here and then duplicate that, and then we have to make it black so that it creates this sort of cutout. So we're just going to go to color overlay. Here we go, blend. Make this black, and just drag it above the layers here. So we have, it looks like the Smash Brothers symbol. Perfect. First aid, and then this is, we have some text above it here. Cinetropa. Cinatirp. Make sure I get the spelling right, honestly. Scale it again. You hold in Alt to sort of scale it uniformly. This bends a bit, so Control T, and we can hit this button up here, and we can curve it like this. Looks about right. Just drag this down. Maybe, and then we can invert that. Change the text to say life safe. I don't even know what that means. It's just a random brand. Cool. And then we have some more text. Instantly cures all wounds on body with a single application. Oh, this needs to be not in capitals. Try that again. Instantly cures all wounds on body with a single application. Just format that. And the text to be centered like this. And then we're just going to scale this down bit smaller. Okay, so that looks pretty close, I imagine. Not bad actually. So what we're going to do now is go to File, Save as Copy. We're going to save this as a PNG. So we'll go to work, spray. I'll call this spray text. Save as a PNG. So if we go back to Substance Painter, I'll click on this plus button here, add resources, and you'll just find your spray here. We'll just call this an alpha, and then keep it library. That just means that it's there when you have. If you click on this option, it means that it'll just save it to your Substance Painter permanently. Which, yeah, that's fine. That's what I do. Right. So we're going to want to apply our text now. Right. So I figured it out. It's been a while since I've done this, so this specific thing. So we just click on a fill layer, add a black mask, and then use our spray text in the black mask. Then we can have full control over it, which was what I wanted to do, but took me a hot minute to remember how to do it. So we have control over this now. And we're going to want to UV wrap none. This means that it won't repeat on us here. So we can just scale this up. What he has it kind of like that. Okay. And because we have it on a fill layer, we can change the color. We use kind of like a darkish red, don't they? It's looking good. And we can also make it metallic if we want. I don't think we want to do that. We can change the roughness as well. Do you want it rough? Do you want it a wee bit rough, just to sort of look like it's on the can? Hey, there we go. We got there in the end. It's frustrating trying to remember how to do it, but we got there. All right, okay. So we have our can now. It's looking pretty good. We're just going to want to adjust some stuff. We're going to want maybe a bit of dirt, just so that it has a bit of wear and tear and looks a bit better. We can maybe start with this text actually. So we have this layer here, and we kind of want this to be a bit scratched and dirty, but we've already created it in a mask. Let me just get rid of this. So what we can do is we can just create a folder, put this layer in, and then we can create a white mask. If you have a white mask, it keeps the layer there, and then you remove stuff. Or if you have a black mask, it removes everything, and then you paint it on. So for this instance, we'll use a white. We will use a white mask. Click on generator, and I would just like to just type in scratch. And see what we have. Grunge scratches. Nah, don't like that. Paint scratched. That's not too bad. That's a better one. Scratch. No, maybe just grunge. Type in grunge. Find some nice ones. Again, you could sit here for a long time and just find the perfect grunge map. There's a lot. Let's just save them. Then dirt, maybe. Okay, let's stick with dirt thin, but you can choose whatever you want, really. It's up to you. And just decrease it a bit, just so it looks a bit wear and tear. Change the contrast to make those edges sharper, but actually I kind of like having low contrast because then it looks the wear looks a bit better. All right, that's cool. Okay, this doesn't actually look too bad. This already, the sort of wear and tear here doesn't look anything that I wouldn't do anyway. Maybe we can turn the roughness down on this body bit here. It does look, especially if it's dirty and stuff, it might not be as rough as you think. Maybe we can just turn this down a bit. Yeah, it looks a bit better. What we can do now is maybe just add some, maybe we'll fix this. This needs, we actually didn't remember the texture of this bit, so we'll click on this. This sort of bit here looks a bit weird. It's normally there, this metallic contrast bit. Just turn that off, honestly. Don't really like it. Or we can just click on paint here and we can just paint it off this section of the nozzle. Oh, whoops, sorry, wrong thing. I was painting off the actual texture. Go this and then go to, you can just paint this off. You don't really want that sort of stuff on this part. Right. That looks pretty good. Maybe we can play about and see if there's any sort of generic sort of dirt we can add to this. Let's see, we make it dark here. And we'll make this a bit rough like this, so it looks like dirt. Black mask, create a generator, and we'll just type in dirt, see what comes up. See what we got here. Maybe that's not too bad. Again, I say type of grunge. Grunge has all the best stuff on it. You have to think about the environment that this thing is living in, you know. That's actually that's not too bad. Maybe a leaky type of texture. That's pretty cool. I actually like that, yeah. Not bad. And then we'll just keep it like that, honestly. And we can play about with the colors if you want. You can just play about with it, do whatever you want, honestly. Pretty good. Maybe we can try a bit of edge wear. I don't think it needs it, but let's have a look. So we just type in steel. Make a nice steel texture. Might take a second to load because they're in 4K. So clear black mask, add a generator, and just type in edge. You get metal edge wear. No, I don't think it needs it anyway. I think it's the damage on it is pretty good. So yeah, let's see, just maximize the screen here a second. That's not bad. That's our first prop created, and so we're just going to give it a once over, make sure it looks alright. This looks pretty good to me. Quite chuffed with that the text stuff on the screen. This here bit's pretty good. So we're just going to go file and export textures. Now there's lots of different options you can use for creating textures. We're going to go with a packed texture. It's quite common. It's quite common. I use it a lot for work. It's more efficient than having like 6 different textures for your model. And we're just going to use PNGs, and we're going to scroll down here to, where is it? Unreal Engine 4, because it doesn't have Unreal Engine 5, but it's all the same. Unreal Engine 4 packed. So we're going to click on that. And what this is, it'll have you have your albedo texture and your metallic roughness and occlusion packed into one, and your normal, and then emissive if you have any, but we don't, so we can just tick this. And then we'll make it 4K because we want that crisp textures. Half spray and select folder. And click on open output directory here, and we'll see our textures. Now we probably just want to change these. We'll just call this. I always put textures have T in front of them because it's easier to search when you're in the engine. T underscore house spray, and then base color we can just leave that the way it is. And let's do the same for this. We'll just call this AORM, which means ambient occlusion, roughness, metallic. That's pretty straightforward. Right, so we'll just go into our project here. Probably should have loaded this up beforehand, but it'll take a few minutes. You're seeing the sort of real-time, unedited version of me working through a project. Maybe you prefer that because it's a bit more real. We'll load up our ready to save room here. So we're in our project now. And we'll open our folder, go to our meshes, right click, import, house spray. Now when you upload it, when you import your object, it'll bring up this text dialog. It might not be ticked for you. So when you look, make sure you have a look, and where it says build nanite, always make sure that's ticked on, because if you're importing really super heavy, dense polygon meshes, it can sort of really freeze up your computer. I like to go down to here where it says material and just type in do not create material, because we just want to make our own. So if we import, we now have our model inside the engine, which is very nice. We're going to go back here, go textures, import, click and drag, and bring all these in. Now, create our material here. We'll just call this spray con. So we'll just click and drag all these in. So this is our albedo texture. This is just the flat color. This goes into base color. Your normal map will plug straight into normal. And then this AORM texture, this is 3 separate textures, so you'll need to use the different color channels. Red will be your ambient occlusion. Green will be your roughness. And blue will be your metallic. If we click apply, save asset. And now what we want to go to is, we have your spray can here. If we just double click this will bring up the actual asset in the folder structure. And then we can just click on this material where it's sitting, and where it says where you have the material, click on this button. It'll use this material. Give it a second. Now, what you might notice is that it looks really shiny, and it does not look like how we made it in Substance Painter. This is a thing that you'll have to do when you're importing assets every time, is that your AORM map, you have to double click on this, and where it says on this details tab, if you go over here where it says sRGB, you need to untick this and then save. These maps are grayscale, so they don't need sRGB. So you need to untick that, and then you'll have to rebuild the material. Well, you won't have to if you do this first. I just did this as an example to show you. So we go back into the material again. This is like broken, so we just delete this. and then just drag it in again. And then red for ambient occlusion, green for roughness, blue for metallic. And if we save it now, it should be exactly how we made it in Substance Painter. And it looks pretty good, if I do say so myself. Not bad. Very nice. What's it look like through our camera? It's quite blurry because we haven't set up the focal range. Let's see, cinema camera. Pretty sure it's this one. Maybe we can focus settings. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. That looks really cool. With the focus settings on, that's pretty cool. I've never actually done that before. It's the first time I've done that, so that actually looks really cool. So what I've done there is clicked on the camera actor and then went to focus settings and then clicked on this wee dropper tool, which like it must automatically create depth of field for you, which is really cool actually. I just learned something myself. That looks pretty sick. So I'm pretty happy with that. So I hope you're able to follow along with this and you now have your asset inside your project.